Property experts are predicting changes to Queensland's land tax laws could see rental prices in the state skyrocket even further amid a growing national rental crisis. Joining me live now for more is Lloyd Edge, founder and director of Aus Property Professionals. Thank you for your time this afternoon, Lloyd. Can you explain these upcoming changes to land tax laws that come into effect in Queensland next year and which landowners will be affected?
Yeah, absolutely, Anna. So from 30th of June 2023, the new position basically means that Queensland land tax will take into account the value of all total interstate land holdings, so not just properties that you own in Queensland, but those that you actually own outside of Queensland as well. And the properties that you own outside of Queensland will be assessed based on the relevant valuations within the state and territory legislation. Landholders affected will be investors, so there's no changes to primary place of residence, which are exempt, and also primary producers.
So to clarify, it's only landowners who own interstate and Queensland land, so single homeowners are exempt?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's always been an exemption for primary place of residence, so if you own your own home, that's exempt from that land tax threshold.
And what impact do you anticipate these new land tax laws could have on investors and rental prices in Queensland?
Yeah, Queensland's always been very much a hotspot to invest, particularly the last 10 or 15 years. And I think with some of these new legislation coming in, that investors will start to actually look maybe elsewhere, start to diversify their portfolio into some of the other states and territories.
And how could that then affect renters and first home buyers? It's a pretty tight property market in Queensland.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the issues is that with renters, the higher land tax that the property investors have to pay is probably going to be passed on to tenants through increased rental prices. That's not going to be a great outcome because we're already seeing a bit of a rental crisis in the country at the moment. So that's a bit of an issue. And we're also going to probably see that passed on to a lot of the commercial tenants as well. That's probably going to be a bit of an issue going forward.
And just finally, on those tight vacancy rates in Queensland, that's well below 1%. Is there any end in sight, or is there going to be a long-term? Is this going to be a long-term situation for the state?
Yeah, I think it's there are a few things that the government's starting to do, and like I mentioned in my new book, Buy Now, there's a few things that the government's starting to do. One of them is the Labor Help to Buy scheme, which essentially is where you can come up with just a 2% deposit, and then the government will fund up to 40% of the value of a new property or 30% of an established property. That's obviously capped at $650,000, and it's means tested. So if you're on a $90,000 income for a single or $120,000 for a couple, however, that's a step in the right direction because it does allow more people to get into the market and put a bit of a downwards pressure on renting over the long term. I think the government needs to do more over the long term, but that's a start. But at the moment, we're just seeing a massive spike in rental prices. So the government really needs to look at more of these measures and also seeing what we can do in terms of supply, because there's just a shortage of supply of rental properties as well.
Yeah, certainly some relief for the rental market is needed. Lloyd Edge from Aus Property Professionals, thank you for your time this morning.
Great, thanks so much.